Hello everybody, welcome back to another installment here today. I'm bringing another Jeskai Saheeli video just because it's something that I've really been testing on paper a lot, and I've really been enjoying it. I'm getting a lot of good results. And so here's my next iteration of Jeskai Saheeli after my previous video. I don't think my list was optimal. I think the combo itself is pretty strong right now in the current meta, but some card choices were not, what I would call optimal. So here we have a bit of an updated build. It's what I've really been enjoying testing with a lot of strong results against some of the top decks right now. So let's take a look. We're still running 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Path to Exile. That's going to be the core of most Jeskai decks that you're going to see. We also have 4 Serum Visions, dig for the combo. We're still playing 4 Remand, just to kind of prolong the game and draw into our combo, keep the board clear, maintain tempo. We cut down to, I think I still had 3 Spreading Seas in my previous video. So we're still sticking with 3 Spreading Seas. It's a great card, but it's not always good. So we're just sticking with 3. We have 2 Wall of Omens. I wasn't previously a fan of the card, but I think it's important to have more 2-mana cantrips that are proactive rather than reactive like Remand. And it also kind of just protects the ground a bit against the more aggressive matchups, or just matchups where you can easily protect your Planeswalkers with an 0/4. We actually cut down to 3 Snapcaster Mages because overall the build doesn't have that many instants and sorceries. I know it's kind of weird to see like a Jeskai deck with only 3 Snapcaster Mages, but this is a move that I think is smart for a deck like this because it's very easy to get flooded on Snapcaster Mages and have maybe just 1 instant or sorcery in the graveyard that's not necessarily even relevant to the game state. So this is why I'm not going the 4 Snapcaster Mage route and just going for 3. Then we have 2 Vendilion Click. Click is just a great card to kind of test the waters to see if it's okay to combo off, or if it's it also just disrupts your opponent. It's really strong against combo decks. It's really strong against Tron, and it's just a clock because sometimes you don't even win through the combo; you just win through damage. So I'm a big fan of Vendilion Click still. Next, of course, we got the combo. We got 4 Felidar Guardian. We have 4 Saheeli Rai. I've seen some lists cut down on the Guardians. I think having 4 of each just ensures the maximum chance of going off as early as possible, which is very necessary in a lot of matchups. And next, we have kind of these 2 final flex slots. One of those slots is going to be Pia and Kiran Nalaar. I've really been enjoying Pia and Kiran Nalaar. It has gotten me out of so many different situations. And it also works great with Saheeli with the -2. Just create 2 Thopters, clog up the board. And then it can also act as removal. And the last kind of spicy tech that we have here is going to be Teferi. I've really been enjoying Teferi so far. Now, the triple blue is a little difficult to get sometimes, but we can usually get it in most matchups, unless they're very aggressive matchups where we're fetching basics. And it really, what's great about Teferi is that it's actually, while it's good in the blue matches as well, if you can resolve it, I find that it's really strong against the non-blue decks filled with removal, like Bug or Green-Black or Jund or Obzon, because game 2 they might just bring in a bunch of removal to fight the combo, and once you have Teferi resolved, they can't interact with it except on their own turn at sorcery speed. So then we have free reign to do basically whatever we want on our turn, whether it be combo off or target one of our creatures with Saheeli and get some value. It's just a great card. And now, slight changes have been made to my mana base. I think I cut 2 Spirebluff Canal in favor of an Arid Mesa and a Cavern of Souls. Now, the decision for Arid Mesa was I wanted another land that could get basics because the aggro matchups for this deck can be a little difficult. Things like Naya Revolt Zoo or Naya Burn can be very difficult matchups if you're not on the play and have like a turn 1 Bolt, turn 2 Spreading Seas, or Remand. They can just be very, very difficult to fight. So that's why I like having basics take a little bit less damage in order to get a turn 1 Bolt or Path. And then the next slot is actually Cavern of Souls. Cavern of Souls is something I've been testing a lot, and I really, really enjoy it. Now, it's only hurt the mana base a few times when I've tried to cast something like Supreme Verdict on curve in the sideboard games. I've run into that issue, I think, once. But I think the benefits definitely outweigh the downside. So usually when you have Cavern of Souls, you're going to be wanting to name either Wizard, which is probably your number 1 choice, or Human. Wizard lets you cast Snapcaster Mage, Vendilion Click, which is double blue. So naming Wizard is really helpful. It also lets you cast Teferi, which is triple blue. So you only really need two other sources of mana that produce blue mana, and you generally have those. So that plus Cavern of Souls lets you flash into Teferi under counter magic, and then go off on your own turn. You can also name Human, which will then hit also Teferi. You can get you P and Kiran Alara through counter magic, and you can still cast Snapcaster Mage with it. And then in some very fringe cases, you'll want to say Cat, and you'll cast your Cat, and you can retarget the Cavern of Souls to blink it. And as it enters the battlefield, you can choose a new creature type for whatever's left in your hand, or you can kind of control how you want to approach the matchup based on your hand. With that said, that's the main deck. I've really been enjoying these changes. I think they're really strong. Like I said, I'm still hesitant on the Burn and Zoo matchups. But this is where the sideboard comes in very handy. We have 2 Dispel, we have 2 Blessed Alliance, we have 1 Timely Reinforcements. These cards are going to be very critical to winning those aggressive matchups. We've got 1 Rest in Peace and 1 Relic of Progenitors. This is to fight the Graveyard decks and the Death Shadow decks. Both the Grixis form, the Abzan form, the Jund form, they all rely on their graveyard in one way or another. And while we do have 3 Snapcaster Mages, we're not that much of a graveyard deck, so it doesn't really hurt us as much. So these cards definitely do a lot of work. I'm playing 2 Supreme Verdict. I think it's just probably the best hard sweeper in the format right now. And I could cut 1 to add like an Anger of the Gods or as a Staticaster, but I like just being more consistent with the better card, especially in a format with a bunch of Eldrazi and Death Shadows and Tarmogoyfs. It's going to be really important to hit those big butt creatures. Then we have a few more flex spots. We have 2 Stony Silence. I wouldn't, Affinity matchup is pretty good, but it's not always good. And I like having this kind of splash hate for Tron or Lantern Control and things like that. Then we have Jace Architect of Thought, just a great value planeswalker for the grindier matchups. I really, really, really am impressed with Jace's performance. And then the most recent change, while we could add more hate in this slot, I'm actually running 3 Geist of St. Traft because, first of all, it really helps the opposing control matchups. And a lot of times, game 2, your opponent's going to bring in just a ton of removal. Like, they're going to be so focused on the combo, they're like, okay, I need to break this up. And that's when you bring in Geist of St. Traft. You cut a few pieces of the combo here and there, and then you just beat face because they didn't plan on a 2/2 hexproof that deals them 6 a turn, basically. And against blue decks, it's incredible, especially if you have Cavern of Souls. The biggest issue against blue decks is resolving it. But if you're on the play and you're up against like Grixis Control, which don't usually play Mana Leak, it can be pretty easy to resolve a Geist of St. Traft. And once it's resolved, it's just a matter of protecting it against opposing Snapcaster Mages, or Delve Creatures, or things like that, which I think our deck is relatively capable of doing. Especially if we can combine those with some graveyard hate against those kinds of decks. I've even brought it in against Death Shadow Jund, and I think it's correct to shave pieces of the combo and bring in Geist of St. Traft, because they're going to take so much damage from their own lands and spells that if you get into the kind of late game grind and, they have a Tarmogoyf or Death Shadow, you have a Geist of St. Traft, they can, attack you, but you can very easily swing back and then win with Bolt Snap Bolt or something like that, and which is what I did at a recent local tournament. So it's very, very easy to get. It's important to be proactive and aggressive against Death Shadow sometimes. Force them to answer you rather than you hoping you always have the answer. But yeah, that's my take on it. We're gonna go ahead and run this through a modern competitive league as usual. I'm really excited with Saheeli in the format right now. So stay tuned for some awesome games. I'll see you soon. Alright, welcome to the first match here in this modern league. It's a little bit early in the morning, so hopefully my brain can handle playing Magic right now. We have quite an interesting hand. 3 Lightning Bolts and a Snapcaster Mage. This could be pretty weak against some decks in the format, but it could also be pretty good. So I'm actually going to keep this hand, even though it doesn't really do much. Bloodstained Mire. Crack Fetch. Oh boy. Alright. We're up against the burn matchup. Getting started with the matchup that I was most worried about before. Sure. It would have been nice if one of these was like a Scalding Tarn, just so I could get it untapped red. Path to Exile is not bad too, so we're just gonna go ahead and play Flooded Strand and pass. So game 1 is gonna be a bit difficult. We're just gonna take the 1 here because it's less damage than shocking for like a Lightning Bolt. Oh, blue-red Delver maybe. Blue-red Kilnfiend. Okay, wow, this hand is fantastic. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get a Steam Vents here. And I'm just gonna go for the Lightning Bolt on the Kilnfiend. Just get rid of their threats as soon as possible. Scalding Tarn is an interesting draw. I'm actually going to go ahead and main phase kill the Swift Spear. Just because I don't want to get caught up in any prowess shenanigans. And if this is the Thing in the Ice version... Hope it's not a Blood Moon version. Oh boy. That's probably... Alright, Swift Spear. Okay. That's fine. We can take another 1 here. Our hand is pretty good against Monastery Swift Spears. Here we'll get a Hollowed Fountain. Thing in the Ice. Sure. So our hand lined up very, very well against our opponent. Very well. All these lands don't make me happy, though. Thing in the Ice isn't doing much right now, but it could flip very soon with counter backup if they have things like Faithless Looting. The question is, do we want to path it right now, or and I think we do. I think we just want to get rid of both of these things, play a fetch, and pass. Because we have Snapcaster Mage. To get back. Wow, are they... Do I have any basics left? Oh god, they might be a Blood Moon deck. But no, they wouldn't be. If they would have more islands if they were a Blood Moon deck. I just don't know why they're fetching basics here. Metamorphose, sure. They're probably digging for a threat of some sort to play. Alright, island. Or, Steam Vents, excuse me. Wow, alright. So basically just a failed cycle. We're going to go ahead and get a Sacred Foundry here. Just so we can have double red in case we need it. Snapcaster Mage is a pretty good draw. We're kind of just we're gonna sit back on it though. I probably should have played the Desolate Lighthouse, but I'm gonna let our opponent look for a threat before I just run out these Snapcasters with bolts. Kill Fiend, sure. And I'm going to go ahead and try to... I'm going to try and lightning bolt this. Say okay, we can... Our opponent is letting us do this. They still have opportunity to do something here. But yeah, our hand lined up very well against blue-red Kill Fiend deck. They might have something like a Spell Pierce here. That's very possible. But I don't think we play around it. Especially because we can go snap on our turn. Red mana. Bolt my. Sure. I think that's a pretty good trade. It's not going at our face. And I think we probably have a better late game than our opponent here. Fellar Guardian. Interesting. Doesn't do much right now, but if they play another creature, we could go snap, snap bolt, and then... Alright. I'm actually thinking about just getting aggressive here. There's no reason to sit back and do nothing. Could be a mistake, but they're on one card right now. And we have Desolate Lighthouse to start looting things away later. So let's just try to close out this game. Not give our opponent too many draws. Go ahead and play the cat. Blink the Snapcaster Mage. It would be nice to have like a Serum Visions or something. We'll go ahead and target Bolt. We'll Bolt face. And even if they have something like Thing in the Ice, you know, it's going to be difficult for them to flip it with, you know, one card in hand. Bolt is a great draw, I guess. It'll help us close out the game faster. Here we'll just keep up Bolt and activate the Loot House at end of turn. But it looks like our opponent is, you know, a bit flooded on lands here. Serum Visions, sure. Not that we aren't. But they did get pathed, so. They got bottom, ouch. Alright. We'll go ahead and dig for something here. We're going to bolt the Snapcaster Mage. We'll say okay. Teferi is a fantastic draw. We'll go ahead and discard this island. And we'll just flash into Teferi at end of turn. Like, yeah, I could get countered, but... Wow, another land. It's possible that they have something like Remand in hand right now, but I feel like we would have seen it by now. Alright, Teferi's in. And we have the kill. Wow, we had the kill in many different ways, but we're just going to not show anything we don't have to show. So we're just going to finish the game off with a Lightning Bolt. And our opponent cannot respond because we have Teferi. So the game's pretty locked in. Alright. Let's figure out how to sideboard for this matchup. I imagine Dispels are going to be pretty strong. Supreme Verdicts are going to be very strong. Geist of St. Traff could be very strong. Blessed Alliance could be strong. Alright, so let's take a look at what we want to do here. Do we want to keep Remands in a matchup like this? I think we want to cut Spreading Seas, that's for sure. We saw they had a lot of islands, and they can make use for those islands very easily. They saw the cat, so my guess is they're definitely keeping in their bolts. We might... I mean, I think keeping Vendilion Click and Teferi is probably a good idea. Keeping in P and Kirin Alar is good. I'm going to shave a few pieces of the combo just because it's a little slow. Because they are a deck with Lightning Bolt, potentially Snapcaster Mage 2. And we're also going to cut a couple of Remands here because they're decent in the blue mirror. Sometimes, you know, you can counter your own spell, but they're not 100% ideal. And dispels are probably going to be infinitely stronger in this matchup. Here we also have 2 Supreme Verdict as some uncounterable shenanigans. Yeah, I might want to cut more copies of the combo. Question is, do I want to bring in Relic of Progenitus to attack their graveyard? I mean, we didn't see Snapcaster Mages there, and I don't remember if Blue-Red Kiln Fiend plays that. Maybe keep in 1 cat. And maybe Jace? I don't know, it might be hard to resolve. Like I said, I didn't see any counter spells that game, but this is tough. We'll keep in 1 more Remand, because sometimes I guess they play at sorcery speed. So we'll go ahead and submit that. It's tough. I'm not 100% sure how to clearly sideboard. This looks like a great hand, actually. Could use a Path to Exile, but we have turn 1 Bolt, turn 2 Wall of Omens, turn 3 Click. Sure, our opponent has slightly, not necessarily better start, but let's see, top. So it looks like they'll be able to cast some of their best cards here. I actually like playing Flooded Strand here. Even though I'll have to, if they play a 2-mana creature, I'll have to shock. Thinking Ice is fine. I'm actually comfortable double shocking it next turn. Double bolting it, excuse me. Sweet, we don't even have to take any damage from our mana base. It is a 2-for-1 here. And if they have like something like Mutagenic Growth, we could get blown out, but I want to do this when they're tapped out, of course. Because Thinking the Ice can get out of control very quickly. Alright, so they're cracking a fetch, which means... Oh boy, are we getting Blood Moon here? Oh, that's very possible. I didn't play around Blood Moon. Yeah. Punished. Punished. Okay. That's on us. We did that to ourselves. Luckily, we have at least a basic Plains, so we're not auto-dead. And a Blessed Alliance is actually a decent card. We would love to have at least a basic island, though. Kiln Fiend, sure. Now I kind of feel bad burning all those lightning bolts, but... Yep. We should have realized... We should have thought about Blood Moon a bit harder. Thinking the Ice wasn't necessarily flipping anytime soon, and we didn't have to overcommit with Lightning Bolt there. But at least we have Wall of Omens to kind of block on the ground right now. Oh boy, our opponent went top, so that means they've got gas in the tank. Path to Exile is a pretty solid draw here. I'm actually going to go for the Blessed Alliance play next turn with a block on Wall of Omens and see what my opponent does. Yeah, definitely should have gotten a basic... Say okay. We'll block here. Bolt me. Interesting. I think we might as well cast with Escalate. 2 modes. Target player gains for life. Target opponent sacrifices an attacking creature. So we gain. They sack. They probably have a counter. But I'd like to get it out of their hand right now. Stubborn Denial. Well, that's pretty good, actually. Sure. There goes our Wall of Omens. Geist of Saint Traft. Would be great if we'd gotten a basic island. So here I'm just going to play another Wall of Omens. Look for a basic island, and we found it. I'm not going to expose it to any potential like land destruction right now. So I'm just going to go for the block again next turn. And force them to just, you know, use up the instants and sorceries in their hand. Say okay here. Mutagenic Growth, sure. We'll see what our opponent does here. Another Kill Fiend. Interesting. Another Geist of Saint Traft. So, would be great, of course, if these lands could do something, but this is rough right here. And I feel like they're keeping up Stubborn Denial. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and play the Geist of Saint Traft, because if they have counter spells in hand, they can't really pump the Kill Fiend all that much. Next time if we go to a game 3, we'll probably try to play a little bit better around Blood Moon. The problem is here, I think we have to block though, and I feel okay doing that because we have another. Yeah, bolt me. Say okay. But we'll still get to trade here and minimize some life loss. Bolt is a great draw here. I'm actually going to do it. Actually, I think it's better to do it on their upkeep. No, I actually want to do it right now, because then if it resolves, then I get to freely cast Geist of Saint Traft and feel pretty good about it. Alright. And then we play another Geist. And hope to ride the Geist to victory. Manamorphos, alright, they're digging. And this is a good sign. I think. Double red is interesting. Maybe they have like Faithless Looting? Wow. Alright, so drawing that island was pretty lucky. And now we even have the spell, which is really nice. So we're pretty safe here. And we can ride this Geist to victory in 2 more turns. We have removal, we have a counter spell to fight their potential counter spell. Have another land in play. Oh boy, what do you got? Like a PN Kirnalar? That would be pretty rough here, honestly. Alright, they don't go for it, whatever it is. I'm going to not cast Serum Visions right now. I just want to keep up Dispel. And like I said, ride this Geist of Saint Traft to victory. And we'll end the turn. We don't need to do anything proactive. This card wins games on its own. We're going to say okay to that. They're using one of their blue manas here, so that is good for us. Means less potential for counter spells down the road. And we got there. So Geist of Saint Draft, killer card. Killer card against blue decks, especially blue-red decks. Back in the day, when Blue-Red Delver was a big thing, even the Treasure Cruise era, I played the Jeskai Geist, and it was so powerful. Alright, thanks for watching. We won the first round, and stay tuned for the next round. See you soon.